So baby boy Joe is a 4-day-old X25-weeker now projected to 25 4/7. Current issues include presumed sepsis and prematurity. Overnight, he was started on tropical feeds of maternal breast milk, which was stopped last night at about 10 o'clock due to a 3 cc residual. So kind of running through the numbers, FENGI-wise, his weight today is 740 grams, down 30 grams from yesterday, 60 overall for birth weight. His current lines are an umbilical artery line, day 4, and an umbilical venous line, also day 4. Drips right now, Eric, are half normal saline plus heparin at 0.5 cc's an hour through his UA, half cc an hour of half normal saline plus heparin through his UVL, for a total of 1 cc per hour of half normal saline plus heparin. His total fluids are at 110 cc's per kilo per day, which is TPN and lipids as well as the above drips. We didn't include the trophic feeds in our total. Total ins for yesterday were 92 cc's, total outs 54 cc's, which gives him a urine output of 2.8 cc's per kilo per hour with no stools. And that will give him a total of 55 kcals per kilo per day. His abdominal girths have been stable at 21 to 22 centimeters. On exam, his belly is soft and non-distended with normal bowel sounds. Electrolytes this morning showed a sodium of 144, potassium 5.2, chloride 106, and bicarbonate 26. His triglycerides were 110. Moving on to respiratory, he is currently ventilated on acidity pressure control pressure support with a PIP of 22 and a PEEP of 5, rate 36, and a pressure support of 8. His FiO2 has been from anywhere from 21 to 25%. Currently he's at 21%, and he's been satting from 86 to 94%. His actual respiratory rates have been from 36 to 52. His most recent blood gas this morning was an ABG, and it showed pH 7.36, PO2 85, PCO2 48 with a base excess of -1. And at that point, the overnight team weaned his rate from 38 to 36. And overnight, he had 3 ABD events. He desatted as low as 30 and braided into the 80s, and he did require stimulation and increased FiO2. And looking at his most recent chest x-ray from this morning, his ET tube looks like it's in a good position about halfway between the carina and thoracic inlet, and no adjustments were made. He's about 9 ribs expanded. He still kind of has that diffuse coarse granular opacification, which looks consistent with RDS. Otherwise, no major changes to it. Do you mind pulling that up, Nathan?
Straight.
So I see the ET tube right there. I think that's okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 reps expanded. Overall, if I look at his x-ray from yesterday, it kind of looks about the same. So I think we're in good position with the chest tubing for the expansion. It's the same. Okay. All right. And listening to him, he's vented, transmitted upper airway sounds with a few scattered crackles, but he's good even bilaterally with good chest cracks. And moving on to cardiovascular, his heart rates have been between 150 and 170. Blood pressure is stable with MAPs of 29 to 38. He is having some intermittent widened pulse pressures, like he had one overnight of 45 over 17. His systolics have been 38 to 56 with diastolics of 17 to 29. When I examine him, he's got symmetric femoral pulses. There's no bounding, and I also don't hear a murmur at this time, so I'm not really super suspicious for a PVA at this point, but keeping an eye on it. From a heme standpoint, he has not yet required phototherapy. His bilirubin this morning went up to 6. Hemoglobins on his gas have been slowly trending downwards, and his most recent was 9.1. CBC this morning showed a hematocrit of 30. hemoglobin 9.1. His white blood cell count is down to 18.9 from 25.4, and he's got 400,000 platelets. The differential was 39% polys, 32% lymphs, 18% monos, 6% urine, 2% meals, 2% bases. So I think overall, okay. ID-wise, he is on AMP and Gent for a 7-day course for presumed sepsis because his CRP was 36 at 36. He's in the duet at 80% humidity on servo. Temps have been 36.6 to 37, and the servo has had to have temperatures from 36.0 to 37.5, so not having to vary too much. And the blood cultures from delivery are no growth pain. From a neurologic standpoint, his status post a course of Indocin for IPH prophylaxis, and he had his 72-hour head ultrasound last night. That showed kind of on the prelim read that there was a grade 1 bleed on the right, none on the left, but we can kind of talk about that on radiology rounds with the radiologist to see. So in summary, this is a 4-day-old X25 weeker, now corrected to 25 and 4, being treated for presumed sepsis and slowly weaning off the vent. For a plan for today, FENGI-wise, I was thinking that I'd like to retry trophic feeds today at 0.1 cc an hour of maternal breast milk. And we're going to stop checking residuals as they're continuous feeds, and you expect to have some residual in these exams haven't changed. I don't want to include the feeds in his TPN given that they're such a small volume that they're not significant. And then for his TPN, I wanted to decrease the sodium. What's his sodium on the TPN there?
So sodium currently right now is 2.5 milliequivalents.
Okay, so why don't we cut that down to 2.3? And then his sodium on his lights this morning was 144. And then I think we should probably cut his potassium down to, it was 5.2 this morning.
So the potassium yesterday in the TPN was 2 milliequivalents.
Do you want to go down to like 1.9, or would you go a little further?
It's even like by half milliliter.
Okay, so 1.5?
Okay, 1.5 for the potassium.
Alright, and then I think he's max on acetate, and I was thinking that maybe we should work towards stopping that so that we're not masking something. I was thinking maybe going to half chloride, half acetate today, and then maybe all chloride tomorrow.
So it's easy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then his lipids were at 1.5 grams. His triglycerides were 110. So I was going to go up to 2 grams, and then we'll check it in a couple of days when he gets up to 3 grams. And his dextrose is at what?
Dextrose today is at 3.5.
3.5 and, okay. I think we need to start working on going up on his GIR because he's not really getting a lot of calories. He's 55 kcals per kilo per day, which I'd like to get him some more. So maybe he's at 3.5?
3.5 today, yes.
Why don't we try going up to 4?
The BGs are
Yes. Let me see. His last, I think it'd been 90 to 125.
that's fine.
Alright, and, okay. And access-wise, we're day 4 of his UV and UA lines, so, we don't necessarily need to do it today, but we need to start thinking about getting a PSC and for more long-term access, and I'd like to leave, even though we're not monitoring blood pressures, I'd like to leave his UA in for blood gases, just while he's still on the vent. Okay. From a respiratory standpoint, I think we're starting to make some progress on the vent. I'd like to go down on the peak a little to see how he does. He's 9 ribs expanded, which is decent, and he's not on a lot of oxygen. I think we could make a step down to 4 and see how he does. Does that sound reasonable? So, to 4. And then we had been checking gases, I think 2.6 in that. I was thinking we could actually space it to 2.8 after we get one after. Just make sure everything's okay. And then maybe cut down on that. And our goals for pH are going to be 7.32 to 7.42, with PCO2s will allow up to 50 on the ABGs. And then we're going to continue with the daily chest x-rays as anticipated. So you have one for your group.
Nope, he doesn't.
Okay. Thanks. Alright, now moving on to heme. I wanted to repeat a Billy level this afternoon. His light level would be 7, and he was 6 this morning. He was 4 yesterday. He jumped in pretty quickly, so I don't want to wait too long before I see if he has to go under the lights. So maybe at 4 o'clock. And then otherwise, his hemoglobin is steadily trending downwards, probably from phlebotomy losses. But I'd like to say that we have a kind of soft goal of a transfusion for hemoglobin when it hits less than 8 as our criteria since he's on the vent.
I think for the kids who are on the vents, our transfusion, a good crit would be about 30 or more.
Okay.
So about 10 or more for the hemoglobin.
Okay, so would you like to transfuse him today then? Since
I think that's probably a good idea.
Do you want Lasix with that, or?
How much oxygen is he on?
Right now, he's on 21%, he's been 21 to 25.
Is he particularly ticketed or is he
No, 30s to 50s.
So we could probably hold off and see.
Okay.
So if after the transfusion, it seems like he's working a little bit harder to breathe or needing more oxygen, then we could potentially basis.
Okay.
Would you like to do 15 cc's per kilo?
And ID-wise, today's day 4 of 7 on an Anthony Gent. He should have a Gent peak and trough ordered with tomorrow's dose. If you don't mind checking on me.
Yes, he does.
Okay. And then from a neuro standpoint, we'll talk on radiology rounds about the head ultrasound. If they do see something, they're probably going to want to repeat ultrasound sooner rather than the 6-week ultrasound.
All right. Okay, so we have boy, oh boy, he's a 20-day-old male with correct gestational age of 33 and 4. He was admitted for respiratory distress syndrome and prematurity, has ongoing issues with feeding and growing, BPD and apnea of prematurity. So overnight he had no acute events. Today he is 2320 for his weight. That's at 5 grams over the past 3 days, so not the best weight gain. He's currently has an NG tube in place. Yesterday he had total fluids of 152 cc's per kilo. And got total kcals of 127 per kilo. And he's currently on maternal breast milk plus EPF 30 in a 1-to-1 ratio at 44 cc's every 3 hours. He tolerated about 50% of that PO. The rest was given by NG. And currently his abdominal girth is stable at 28 cms. So yesterday he did have 3 residuals. They were each 7 cc's. His urine output was 3.2 cc's per kilo per hour, and stooled 5 times, no emesis. In terms of his labs, he did have P4 and calcium this morning. Sodium was low at 130, that's down from 134 previously. And his potassium is 4.1, that's down from 4.6. Chloride is actually 99, that's down from 103. His bicarb is 28, up from 26, and calcium has been stable at 9.4. From a respiratory standpoint, he is on 2 liters high flow nasal cannula, FiO2 requirement 23%. Currently has a respiratory rate of 42 with a range between 42 and 58. He did have 2 Brady DSATs that happened around the time of feeding earlier this morning. They were both self-resolving and they were moving the nipple. His heart rate was 145 to 167, BP 70 over 34. This morning his hematocrit was 28. That's actually down from 30 from the previous measurement. And his retic count is elevated at 4.1%. Total direct bilirubin was grossly normal, 1.2/0.5. He did have bone labs drawn this morning. Alk phos was slightly high at 544. Phosphorus was 4.4. So on exam, baby's well appearing, no acute distress. He's breathing comfortably with some occasional crackles bilaterally, but otherwise his precordium is quiet, regular rate and rhythm with the normal S1, S2. Pulses were full, didn't feel any bounding or palmar pulses. Overall his abdomen was benign, soft, non-tender, non-distended, good bowel sounds. In terms of his medications, he's currently on sodium chloride supplement. He gets 5 milliequivalents per kilo per day, and that's divided Q6. He's also getting potassium chloride at 3 milliequivalents per kilo per day. He is taking spironolactone, getting 2 mg per kg, or 2 mg per kg Q12, and chlorothiazide at 20 mg per kg Q12. He's still on caffeine. He gets 7.5 mg per kg daily, and he's getting budesonide, half an egg, nebulized BID. Occasionally he does need albuterol. He hasn't gotten it in the past couple of days. And he's also receiving Reglan at 0.2 mg per kg QID. So in summary, this is our 20-day-old, former 30-week gestational age male. He now has corrected gestational age of 33 and 4. He has BPD, diuretic-related hyponatremia, hypokalemia, and some feeding intolerance. He's overall hemodynamically stable and does have some anemia of prematurity and is approaching his physiologic nadir. And labs this morning seem to be consistent with some possible osteopenia of prematurity. So plan-wise for him, we probably should concentrate his formula. He hasn't had the best weight gain over the past few days.
Do you have his blood card?
I do.
Bring that up so we can take a look at it.
Sure.
Oh, actually.
Oh, you got it?
That's it.
All right. So yeah, see, it's been pretty flat, not quite to where his percentile was at birth. And,
Looks like you could do some more growing.
So I was recommending going up to 26 kilocal.
Some 24 counts, right? Okay, that sounds good.
Oh no, sorry, he's currently on 25 kilocals. So maybe going up to 26, given his blood weight.
Yeah, and then we'll give him a couple days and then go up some more.
Okay. And I think continue checking his daily weights. Okay, so it looks like he's still needing NG tube feeds. He's not really tolerating full PO feeds. He's taking about half PO. It looks like OT hasn't weighed in terms of his feeding, so I'd like to get them involved.
Okay. And so have we had any nursing reports that he's having incoordination with his swallowed?
Yeah, he seems to overall just have a poor suck. Seems to kind of tire out with it. It seems kind of discoordinated at times. So he just needs a little.
Yeah, it might be helpful to get OT to weigh in.
Okay. All right. We'll give him a call. And his sodium and his sodium, potassium, and chloride were all kind of low. Again, I think that's due to his diuretic. So I'd like to go up on his supplements. So I'd like to take his sodium to 6 milliequivalents. He's from 5.
From 5? Okay, that works.
And I'd like to go to 4 on his potassium supplements. He's currently at 3. And I think continuing to check electrolytes daily until we get some stability in his electrolytes.
You could probably hold off for a couple of days because we're not going to see much of a change with him again. So
Okay.
in 2 days we could check it out.
So from a respiratory standpoint, he's on 2 liters high flow nasal cannula. He hasn't been to Kipnick for a couple of days. I think he could probably tolerate going down to 1.5 liters.
Okay, perfect.
And wean his FiO2 is tolerated. And if he doesn't tolerate that, then probably eventually think of going up on his BPD diuretics. Help him out, given that he does still have some crackles down the bases.
Have you had an X-ray recently?
We actually haven't.
he needing enough oxygen, or
No, he's just on 23%.
it doesn't sound like he's dependent or anything either. It's something that we could think about if we need to.
Okay.
If we decide to go out with him next week, it's worth getting an X-ray to see what's going on in his lungs, especially since we're doing this.
Yeah. Perfect. And other than that, continue checking his bone and blood labs